is purging of people throughout the State Department, other agencies, where we're freezing aid. These are all very important and necessary steps to make sure that we secure America, and we're going to support that.
I'm sorry, can I follow up on what you just said there? You want to authorize purging of State Department personnel? What does that mean exactly?
Well, if you want to take a look at the State Department, where DEI has been a priority over, let's say, diplomacy in many accounts, I could give you hundreds of examples of where they were authorizing.
What proof do you have of that?
Sure, let's list them off. $500,000 to expand atheism in Nepal, $50,000 to do, let's see, a transgender opera in Colombia, $47,000 to do an LGBTQ trans comic book in Peru, $20,000 a pop to do drag shows in Ecuador. Shall I continue with more examples of where DEI was the priority?
It certainly seems like there could be a review of things. Foreign aid, as you know, is less than 1% of the entire federal budget. So we're talking small amounts of money by comparison.
We're still talking about purging of people throughout.
I know I started off the video about DEI, but I want to go into, we've been talking about the economy recently with the trade wars that's going currently on between China, Canada, Mexico, and US of A. I want to highlight how it seems like Democrats' initiatives always supports more spending, from the border that costs us $150 billion to maintain illegal immigrants in our country, to the billions of dollars that are spent on DEI initiatives. As you saw in the intro, you saw Margaret, after last week, she got destroyed by J.D. Vance. She's here trying to defend DEI spending. Oh, it's only account for 1% of our budget. Let's do some math, people. What is 1% of $1 trillion? I think we spent about 6.3, 6.2, depending on where you look at. We spent $6.2 trillion. Our U.S. government spent $6.2 trillion. They spent 150 billion. That's still a lot of money, guys. That's still a lot of money. If we do 1% of that, I can't even fathom how much that is. Let's see. Let's do some quick math. I'm gonna give you the numbers. I promise you, I'll find the numbers. Bear with me. Give me a like as I'm trying to do this math right now. It will equate to $62 billion that they spend on DEI and all these pet project initiatives. And this is why a lot of people here, we don't like Democrats, bro. Do I need to show you the favorability ratings again? I don't need to show you guys again. You guys know that the Democrats are unpopular. They back up things that are not, like, they spend all this money, and then when you ask what was the outcome, what was the tangible result that the American people got for spending $62 billion on DEI, you create a circumstance where you technically created a shortage in air traffic control that might have caused a bunch of near misses, people's lives, faulty equipment, you got people questioning the qualifications from pilots or people who work in this industry who comes from a minority background, because DEI created an incentive structure where they'll push in less qualified minorities just to make up a number. And I already showed you my review on the DNC chair. They didn't care about the qualifications of these people. They cared about, okay, we care about your qualifications after you make sure you fit into the correct race, gender, or sexual orientation. Then we'll care about your merit. And this is why I said DEI is the government spends $62 billion to distract from merit, when merit should be the number one consideration when we make our choices for who should be in office, who should be running our administrations, who should be doing the jobs of very important and high competent jobs. But because these fields, like let's say the NBA, let's take the NBA for an example. It's like being mad that the NBA isn't more white because it's 78% black and black people are overrepresented in the NBA. How you 30% of the population, but you make up 78% of an industry? People don't get mad about DEI coming into there. Should DEI go into the NBA to make it more representative? No. Democrats don't sit here. You don't hear Democrats crying about, oh my God, the NBA is too black. And this is why DEI is racism under new management. And we're wasting $62 billion on racism under new management because the Democrats think, because of good intentions, the Democrats think that DEI is good. This is the kind of stuff that we waste our money on. And many people are tired of it.
Do you have any evidence that any of those hires that were there at the control Wednesday night were DEI hires.
So the president's been very clear about this. This is not saying that the person who is at the controls is a DEI hire, but let's just say, first of all, we should investigate everything. But let's just say the person at the controls didn't have enough staffing around him or her because we were turning people away because of DEI reasons. There is a very direct connection between the policies of the last administration and short-staffed air traffic controllers. That has to stop. And by the way, it's so funny to me, the media has picked up on this, not you, of course, Maria, but others have picked up on this. The president made very clear that he wasn't blaming anybody, but he was being very explicit about the fact that DEI policies have led our air traffic controllers to be short-staffed. That is a scandal. Thankfully, it's a scandal that the president has stopped.
So I'm going to ask the Democrats again, right? People elected Donald Trump because of DOGE, right? MAHA, right? Make America healthy again. We want to make our tax dollars more efficient again, right? We want our tax money to go into things that will give good outcomes to the American people. That is the premise in which most people gave Donald Trump the popular vote. Democrats, if you don't understand this, you will lose. Does it sound like a good idea if I told the American people, hey, let's spend $62 billion on an initiative that turned away qualified people based on the color of their skin, and then a couple years, 10 years, because this has been going on since the Obama era, if I remember this correctly, and more recently in the Joe Biden era, with 2023 having historical near misses. And if you know there's a staffing shortage in the air traffic control institution, but the FAA turned away qualified air traffic controllers, and now they're filing a lawsuit against this organization because of it, because of racial discrimination. And it's happened before. White people have won racial discrimination lawsuits, right? I just show you my best example is the manager from Starbucks who got fired because she was white. She won $25 million. I'll pop it up. Probably I popped it up already, but I'll pop it up here if you don't believe me in that story, in that headline. And now we have something similar going on with FAA, and the Democrats want you, the taxpayer, to pay $62 billion to create a bad outcome like that. Yeah. Okay. Right. And now, Democrats are trying to freak out over Elon Musk, right? And DOGE, right? Because Elon Musk dropped a red pill over the USAID bio labs, which Fauci worked on during the Obama era. And this is, people are thinking this is a conspiracy theory, right? The latest Democrat freakouts over the speed and effectiveness of Elon Musk's DOGE crew after recently descending upon the U.S. Treasury only to discover we have been auto-paying everyone, including known fraudulent or terrorist organizations. Now there's a massive freakout going on over DOGE access to the U.S. agencies for international development, where two security officials were reportedly put on leave after they tried to block DOGE officials from accessing systems at the agency. They don't want transparency. These people don't want transparency. Why they don't want transparency, Kenny? Well, let's go with someone that many people consider a conspiracy theorist. Tucker Carlson, right? Tucker Carlson talks about the biolabs in Ukraine with Fauci working under it, with Barack Obama, right? The crimes against humanity that can't be pardoned. 2004 was the year that CIA took control over the Ukrainian government. Right? These are some of the things that confirm that USAID used tax dollars to fund the COVID-19 development. Elon Musk confirmed it. This is one of the reasons why they don't want transparency, because a lot of the bad outcomes that us Americans and many people overseas experience is due to the fact that our tax dollars are being used irresponsibly by these politicians. Here's a interesting clip that I want you to check out, and then we'll continue on this thought of mine.
State Department, USAID, and the National Endowment for Democracy. Now USAID is, a very notorious. It's sort of a switch player. There's no aid in USAID, by the way. That's your brain is being tricked when you see the phrase USAID. It's not an aid organization. The aid in USAID stands for U.S. Agency for International Development. It is developing internationally around the world all of the institutions that the State Department needs to use. So when they are capacity building activist groups in a foreign country. That's because the State Department wants those activists there. Now, USAID, for the first time in its history, it was created in the early 1960s by JFK, 1961. It was created because you had all of this intelligence, statecraft, and military support and logistical aid that was tripping over itself, basically. The military would be funding, would be running aid to certain groups in the region. The State Department would be running aid to certain groups in the region. The intelligence community would, and there was no sort of central coordinator of those capacity building operations. So USAID, by the way, is a $50 billion budget. The entirety of the intelligence community is only $72 billion. So it is more than the CIA and more than the State Department.
Wow.
And aid is basically USAID is effectively a switch player to assist the Pentagon with on the national security front, to assist the State Department on the national interest front, or to assist the intelligence community on a sort of clandestine operations front.
So like DEI, the USAID aid is used to fund regime change, right? Because at the end of the day, we know what DEI really stands for. DEI is we want people to look different but think the same as a Democrat, liberal, leftist. That don't sound like diverse to me. That don't sound like differences of opinion. That don't sound like an environment for critical thinking. It's an environment for conformity. And DEI, and this is how I take it as a conservative, is ways to filter out people who don't share ideological synergy with an organization. Oh, we believe in inclusion and this and that. I see that as a system that's filtering out conservatives. And you wonder why a lot of these companies, when they do have DEI offices, is usually ran by a lot of women, by people of a minority descent, right? And you see it propagates an environment where you filter out people who don't go along with the democratic orthodoxies. And this is what it is. It's a purity test. DEI is a political purity test, the same way as the USAID is used to fund protesters, regime change, sow chaos and disorganization in a country. That's what the USAID has been used for. And many people, this is why I keep going back to it. Democrats keep wondering why their favorability rating is so low, especially with independents, because we see you as the party of bureaucracy. You just want to manage stuff. You want power and control. You're not here to give American people good outcomes. At least Republicans, even if they get it wrong, I don't really question their sincerity when they're trying to make the country better. A lot of Republicans I do, but half of them I can say, no, they're actually trying to do what they think is best for the American people and try to deliver good outcomes for the common American. But Democrat Party, I only see you guys working as the party of the rich, the party of the bureaucracy. You just want power and control. You want to funnel money in these organizations, pretend you're doing something like end homelessness, when you've just been spending $20 billion over 5 years for organizations and nonprofits who tend to be left-wing, by the way, to manage homelessness. And you're paying them to manage the problem. And you're only creating an incentive where you keep the problems going because that is where the money's come from. This is what I'm saying. The USAID, like the National Endowment for Democracy, are well-documented CIA fronts that are designed to manipulate other countries' internal politics for the benefit of DC elites and nobody else in the US. This is where government waste come from. And then when you got Elon Musk asking questions, yo, I need these papers, I need what you're spending your money on. This is why 2 officials got put on leave, because this is what they're trying to hide from you. This is why the government don't like transparency, because then you start finding out that these politicians, these DC elites, they project themselves as if they're nobles and we're the common people. Oh, you look, the plebs don't need to know anything. But the plebs are the one that put you in power. Make it make sense. Both agencies have wrought destruction and can't die soon enough. This is why we elected Trump. This is why Trump won. This is why the Democrats' favorability ratings are in the dumps, because they continually do these things, because we all know where the motivation truly lies for the Democratic Party. It's about their party first. It's about power and control. It's not about actually giving good outcomes for the American people, because how you justify any of that? You bring it up, they try to deflect. They try to make it about something else. When you point out the consequences of their governance, look at California. They want us to send them money without any strings attached, after negligence and years of negligence. They didn't maintain their infrastructure properly. They didn't even know their fire hydrants worked. But they know, oh, we consistently get wildfire. Oh, it's extreme weather events, but you wasn't prepared for it. It shows through your actions, you show that you didn't really believe in extreme weather events. This is why everyone started coming around to the idea that climate change is actually a scam. Because if you really do believe in extreme weather events, wouldn't you be more prepared than you were really in California? No one's asking themselves that question. And these California Democrats really believe that they should not resign. And you wonder why Gavin Newsom is facing calls again for recall. Hopefully this time you actually unelect him. But I digress. I'm done ranting. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this situation and how Democrats love to back behind wasteful spending. And I think we already know the true motivations behind these spending is either a money laundering or operations, or they know these things, putting money in these things is like sending money to left-wing nonprofit groups, which Democrats have a tendency of doing. All you have to do is look at the corrupt Eric Holder and how he used government fines and used settlements of fines to be funneled to left-wing nonprofit organizations to fuel progressive agendas and all this stuff. We see how Democrats use the government. This is just all political games and all political theaters. And the theatrics, no one's falling for the Democratic Party anymore. No one's falling for the fake virtue that the Democratic Party pretends to have. We all know all this stuff benefits you politically. This is the why you defend it. That's the core first principle approach to how I evaluate the interest and the concerns of the Democratic Party. But I digress. I'll leave it at there. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video if you feel so inclined, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.